Magazines didn't talk about it, families didn't talk about it, and I know from first-hand experience of my grandmother, who was diagnosed before this campaign started, that she didn't talk about it either. And we didn't know anything about her disease, we didn't know anything about her treatment, and in fact we now know that the doctors and research scientists also knew a lot less. If you are diagnosed early, there is still a 90% chance that you will recover from your diagnosis after treatment. I think there is room for hope.
Young women can get breast cancer and young women can die of breast cancer because 8 out of 10 women don't regularly check their breasts, and some women admit that they never do. What would you say to those women?
Unfortunately, that is a misconception, and I have met countless young women in their 20s or earlier who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and most of them have found their lumps themselves, and many of them found them inadvertently, soaping in the shower, trying to do up a bra that was sticking on something. It can happen, and that is why young women do need to self-check.
We do know that some groups are much worse at looking out for breast cancer, and if they find something, going to the doctor, particularly black women, particularly South Asian women. There's a stigma maybe in those communities. How on earth do you get around that?
Hearing their stories reminded me very much of how it was when my grandmother was diagnosed in the early 90s, where she didn't want to tell anyone. She thought she'd be judged. She didn't want pity when people knew nothing. They wanted it to be brushed aside. And that's very much what two of our ambassadors have said to us from the South Asian community and from the black community. And our young ambassador is also very interesting on the subject. She actually said that the peers and the groups that she's talking to, they're actually fine talking about breast cancer. They feel they had been told in school or by friends or by family members or in magazines or shows like this to self-check. But most of them still thought it wouldn't happen to them.